This is cool. It has a pattern to it that's 3 notes, and 2 notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Very interesting way to divide up a measure of 4/4 time. And it's kind of influenced by Latin music. A lot of Latin music has that pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, and lots of other rock music too. So let's check out the actual physical picking of this. You're going to be using your thumb on the G chord to pick the low E string. That's your bass note. So use your thumb, get a nice fat sound. Have your thumb more or less parallel to the string, and you're good. All right, and then from there, you're going to want to hit your G string with your index finger. That's what I use anyway, my index. So those 2 notes alternate, and then you pinch 2 notes together, and that would be your B and E strings, your high E string that is, with your 2nd and 3rd fingers of your right hand. Little 2-note chord, so there's the first 3 points. Then what do? You just change your bass note and do the same thing again. This time the bass note goes down to the D string, open. Pick the G string as you did before. Pick the B and E strings as you did before. And there you have it. Then what we're going to do though is we're going to add, he does this strange thing, but it's actually not so strange in context. It's to change chords. Sometimes when we go from one chord to another, we use these open strings to ease the transition. He certainly does that. He plays his open D and his open A, and that sort of leads into the B minor chord. Hear that? It goes da da da. Creates this nice bass line that sets up your B minor chord. So real slow. Into B minor. B minor is picked the same way as G, except your bass note, your initial bass note, is on your A string this time. So it's A string with the thumb, G string as before with the index. Pick those 2 guys together, your B and E strings with your middle and ring. Then change your bass note. Make that bass note, instead of the 5th string, make it the 4th string. So here's your B minor chord. Alright, and then we're off to an A minor chord. And by the way, you do want to throw a couple more notes at the end of that B minor measure. And those 2 notes are just really your D string and your A string, as before, as on the G chord. That creates that nice bass line. A minor, pick the same. This time, what we're going to do is our open A string as the 2nd to last note in that measure, and then our open G string, and again, a transition, that open string, making it easier for you to pounce on the next chord, which is going to be this funky C chord that I'll show you. So here's what we have so far with our G, B minor, and A minor. And that leads to... There's a couple of ways to play that. You might notice some videos where you see Jim Croce doing what looks like a C chord, and he picks the 5th string 3rd fret along with the high E string open. That sounds good. That's one way to do it. Or another way to do it, which I actually prefer, is play the 5th string 3rd fret with your pointer finger of your left hand, and then instead of an open E, play the 5th fret of your B string E. And that would be with your pinky. That makes a 10th interval, like you see in Blackbird and songs like that. And that, I just take that down to the 2nd and 3rd frets. I play my open A string and my 1st fret B string. And then what he does on the funky D chord is... Now this isn't what Maury does. He does a nice intricate fill there. But Jim Croce plays a simple 2nd fret of the low E string, 2nd fret of the G string, and 3rd fret of the B string in a row. He picks them, and that's with your thumb, your index, and your middle to pick those. Let's put that together real slow. Here we go. And then you just repeat that. That completes the intro. If you were to do that twice, that's the whole intro. And then during the verse, he doesn't pick quite as intricately. He does these same chords, but with a much simpler pattern, because he's singing and playing at the same time. And that's kind of amazing too about artists back then in the 70s and maybe a little bit beyond that, but they played and sang really complex and beautiful music, all live, all in front of you, all at the same time. They hadn't invented MIDI yet. They didn't really use backing tracks so much, and DAT machines and sequencing and laptops, and they didn't even have that stuff back then. And so it's hard to imagine. I know if you're not born in that era as I was, but back then you had to play your stuff live. You had to be able to sing and play without too many mistakes, without too many bad notes or missed lyrics. You had to stand and deliver. And Jim Croce and Maury, his sidekick there, wow, they stood and delivered. They did some beautiful music. So put it together. Beautiful 70s soft rock classic. All right, Get to Lalines. Hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to like, be sure to click subscribe, be sure to click also the notify bell. I will leave a link below with some really easy tabs. These won't be, note for note accurate from start to finish tabs. Just that little bit that I showed you today, I'll jot that out for you so you can catch it for free, and just click that link below to get it. All right, Get to Lalines. You take care, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.